What's going on, y'all? It's your friendly neighborhood strength coach here, hitting you with the Fitness Friday. Today I want to talk to the people who say things like, I don't want to hit the weights because I don't want to get too big or too bulky or too muscular. Now, obviously, it's in the names, friendly neighborhood strength coach. Obviously, I highly encourage strength training, and hitting the weights is a traditional way of doing that. And so what I have to say about this is that if getting very muscular is not something you actively are trying to attain, then you're in luck, because it's probably not going to happen. People don't just, accidentally get super jacked. It doesn't happen on accident, right? People who are very muscular had to put in a lot of work to get there, and if you're not putting in that kind of work, which you likely are not going to if that's not your goal, it's probably not going to happen. Sometimes people hit, genetic lottery and it just happens for them, but that's not the case for most people. Let me lay out a very real, very common scenario for you just to think about. So let's say we have a kid, 15-year-old boy, right, going through puberty and stuff. He's got all kinds of stuff going for him that is going to help him build muscle, and yet he still has a very hard time to. So let's say this 15-year-old, right, because this 15-year-old boy is going through puberty, he has all kinds of hormones and stuff changing in his body, all kinds of free testosterone that is going to aid in muscle building, all kinds of, human growth hormone, all that stuff just naturally happening inside of him, being a 15-year-old boy, right? And along with this 15-year-old boy is, doing some strength training and actively trying to get big, and still is not getting big, right? Most of us know this 15-year-old boy. This is a very common scenario. So now you have, very commonly a female, or, sometimes it's a male too, but very commonly a female saying, I don't want to get too muscular, when naturally you're not going to have the natural propensity as, say, a 15-year-old boy to put on as much muscle mass. So it's just not going to happen if that's not something that you are actively trying to do. It doesn't make sense to think that, oh, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get too big. If you don't want to get too big, you're not going to. It's really just that simple. I could hit you, with some science, because I can do that, but I really don't have to if you just think about it. If you think about, the teenage boys in your life who are trying to work out and get big and still can't, it's very obvious that if you don't want to get big, then you won't. It's really that simple. That's all I got to say to you today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.